In this video, we are going to look at some common laboratory equipment and their users. Kindly like and subscribe to the channel after watching so that you keep in touch with every update from this channel. In the laboratory, we have what we call Burette, and this is how Burette looks like. It is a very cylindrical piece of laboratory equipment which is used to dispense a known volume of liquid in an experimental analysis. The top of the Burette has graduations that is used to read the volumes of the liquid. It has a tip which has a tap, and the tap allows the water to flow through or the liquid to flow through. The tap can either be opened or closed to allow the liquid to flow through easily. So when the tap is rotated in an anti-clockwise direction, the tip tends to open and the liquid can flow through easily. In other words, when it's rotated in a clockwise direction, it closes and the water or the liquid is blocked from flowing through. We have also what we call the Bunsen burner, which is used as a source of heat. So it is used to produce a single opening of gas flame for heating and sterilization as well as combustion. So this one too has an end which can be opened to generate a flame on the tip here. The flame is a source of heat which can be used for heating, sterilization and combustion in the laboratory. That's how a Bunsen burner looks like. They come from different types, and this one type and this is another type. The flame is generated at the tip here or here, and the object to be heated is brought towards the flame. Then the combustion, the heating or the sterilization can proceed. We also have what we call the C-clamp or clamp and a retort stand. So this is how clamp looks like, and this is how retort stand looks like. The clamp is a C-shaped device which is generally used to hold the retort stand in position, and the retort stand works together with the clamp to hold a test tube or add equipment in the laboratory such as the Burette. So in an experiment that you need a rigidity like titration, let's say filtration or distillation, in this experiment you need a rigidity. So you need a clamp and a retort stand to hold that equipment in a firm position so that it can easily run the experiment without any shaking. This is how we require a medicine dropper. A medicine dropper, as you can see, it is a dropper. It is usually a glass tube tapered to the narrow point. The tip is very tapered and the bulb is rubber made. So it is used to transfer small quantities of liquids. This is the bulb. It works by compression and relaxation. So when you compress here, you tend to pull out the air from the tip. When you relax it, you tend to absorb or abstract the liquid volume into the tip, and it can be transferred by further compression. We have what we call forceps. So this one is a handled hinged instrument used for grasping and holding object. So if you have an object where the finger is too large to hold it, you need the forceps to pick that object. If you can, let's say a pin, something that you can't pick with your finger, you need a forceps to pick it. This is the tip where you press here, then this place closes, then the object is picked. We also have thermometer as a general instrument for measuring temperature of substances. This side is the bulb with a liquid here. This one is a liquid in glass thermometer. Then a thin narrow tube inside the glass. This one basically is a mercury. This tape is inserted into the body, being it an armpit of a human, or let's say temperature of a particular liquid. You insert this place into that substance, or let's say human armpit, and the expansion of the liquid here will flow this liquid through the narrow tube. These are graduations on the glass tube where the temperature is red. So if the temperature, let's say a particular degree Celsius, the expansion of the liquid will allow this liquid to flow through till it gets to where the temperature of that body is. We also have what we call scapula, which is basically used for transferring liquids, usually in a powdered form. So for example, when you take the mass of a particular powdered substance, you can't pick it with a hand, so you need a scapula, a laboratory spoon, to transfer the object onto the chemical balance, or the balance for the mass to be taken. We again have what we call test tube brush. Test tube brush in the laboratory, which is used for cleaning test tubes. So test tubes may have chemicals in them, so it can be cleaned with the mere hand. So this is the handle, and the tip is like a brush where you rub inside the test tube to clean them. So have what we call test tube holder. Test tube holder, which is used to hold test tubes in the laboratory, mostly when the test tube is hot. So when the test tube is hot, you can't hold it with your hand, so you need a test tube holder to grasp the test tube. And that's how test tube holder looks like. You hold here, this place is open already, so you hold here, then you press it to close this one. The test tube is being held in this small narrow tube for it to be held. We have what we call a crucible tongue, and this is a crucible. It's a very metallic or even a ceramic substance which is used for grinding substances or even for heating metals in the laboratory. So when it is hot, you need a crucible tongue to hold it. So that's what a crucible tongue is used for holding crucibles when they are hot. We again have test tubes itself. So the test tube is a common piece of glassware consisting of finger-like length of glass or a clear plastic tubing open at the top. So this is a test tube which is U-shaped and is open at the top. It is basically used for holding liquid substances. And this one is a test tube rack for keeping test tube. So when you get your test tube substance in it, you can keep this liquid or the test tube here to prevent the liquid in the test tube from spilling off. That's what a test tube rack is used for holding the test tubes that contains chemicals which you would need for operations. We again have volumetric flask. We've talked about the Forceps already. So the volumetric flask is a flat bottom bulb with a longer neck. So this is how volumetric flask looks like. It has a longer leg and also a flat bottom, which is used for making solutions of known volume. So you want to prepare your solution. The volumetric flask is used for preparing the volume of the liquid that you will need for your solution preparation in the laboratory. You once again have beaker. So this is how beaker looks like. It just looks like a cup. It is used as a container in the laboratory for stirring, mixing and heating liquids. It has a cylindrical shape and a lid for pouring. So they come in different sizes. Some have graduations, others don't have. So they are used for mixing and heating or stirring liquids in the laboratory. When they are hot and they can't be held with a hand, you need a beaker tank to hold them. So when a beaker is hot and you can't hold it with your hands, you need a beaker tank to hold them. We have a glass stirring rod and also an Erlenmeyer flask. So the glass stirring rod, as you can see, is a rod which is glassy in nature. It is used for stirring a liquid in the laboratory. So if you have a liquid that you want to ensure a uniform mixture, use the glass stirring rod to stir it to ensure uniform mixture in, let's say, the test tube, the beaker, or any other substance. We have an Erlenmeyer flask also in the laboratory, which is a very flat, conical body and cylindrically necked. So this one allows the contents to be swirled. So if you want to swirl it without using this one, you can mix this one uniformly by just swirling them. When you swirl it, you ensure that the liquid is uniformly mixed. The bottom or the neck is made in such a way that when swirling, it prevents the liquids in them from spilling off. And also it reduces evaporation as compared to the beaker, which are widely opened mouth. So these are some basic laboratory equipment which are used in experimental analysis. Kindly like and subscribe to the channel as we have more updates on this channel. Thanks for watching.